Perfect. So thank you everyone for allowing me to come and chat with you this evening. I really do appreciate it. As they mentioned, my name is Carolyn McTighe. I'm the Crime Prevention Liaison for the Southern Alberta District. I cover all of Southern Alberta, and my colleagues are stationed in the other districts of the province. Today what I'm going to do is I'm just going to give you a general overview of some of the citizen-led crime prevention opportunities that are available. It's going to be a very general overview, and I really do encourage, if there is something of interest to you, to please reach out to these organizations specifically. We're partnered with them with the RCMP, a few of them that I'll mention today, but certainly they are their own entity and they are a wealth of information and can certainly lead you through the process of developing your own chapter if that is something you're interested in doing. Okay. So the very first one I'm going to touch on is Blockwatch. I think we're all probably fairly familiar with this one. This one's been around for a really long time. This is a program that helps reduce crime by encouraging people to really watch out for your neighbors. So it's neighbors looking out for neighbors, makes your home less inviting for the targeting of thieves, alerts suspicious activity in the neighborhood so you can report it more quickly to police, and responding appropriately to the potential threats. Now, the thing about Blockwatch is that although it is still a program the RCMP supports, it isn't one that the Alberta RCMP is partnered with at the moment. It is across the province in other areas. So BC has this program quite entrenched in their communities. But for Alberta, we've actually moved on to focusing more on Rural Crime Watch and COP. However, that doesn't mean that a community can't create this or have their own Blockwatch. It just means it won't be partnered with the RCMP specifically, meaning that there might not be resources available to you as it would be if you used Rural Crime Watch. The idea behind Blockwatch is exactly what it sounds like. So it is single family homes, sometimes condominiums and townhomes, neighbors joining together to just pay attention to what's going on in your neighborhood, which I'm assuming pretty much all of us already do. It increases communication between neighbors and the police, creates sort of a bonding and sense of community, and also can educate you on recognizing and reporting suspicious behavior. It's all volunteer-based. There is not really a lot of time commitment to it. It isn't that you're sitting at your window in your home watching the street all hours of the day. It's more just paying attention and knowing what's happening in your neighborhood. So if maybe there's a family down the street that's going away for the summer, and you're all part of this Blockwatch, you would be notified so that if there was any odd vehicles that were coming into that property, the neighborhood would know about it. To start a group like this, people have to be above the age of 19, so you can have a criminal record check done. Usually you get a block captain, who is the person who's going to organize the communications, organize the meetings. And you don't have to be somebody who's at home all the time in order to be that Blockwatch captain or the co-captain. And again, it's a low time commitment, and it is a really good thing to develop in your community if you're interested. It doesn't have to be something that is partnered with a policing agency. It's just neighbors looking out for neighbors. So the resources that are available for that is there is actually the blockwatch.com website, and you can actually access it and download an application form for membership, and it also provides you with step-by-step information on how to create one. And then I also wanted to include an example of one that's currently in use, and it's actually in Calgary. There is a community called the Northern Hills Community Association, and it's got probably about, I'm guessing, 10 to 12 neighborhoods that are a part of this Blockwatch, and it's a really successful one. They've developed this entirely on their own. They created their own website. They have their meetings. They do work in collaboration with Calgary Police, but it is something they've independently created, and it's a really good resource if anyone's interested in that. So the one that we actually support is Alberta Rural Crime Watch. And I apologize for my dog in the background at the moment, forgive that. Alberta Rural Crime Watch is the one that we partner with the RCMP at the moment. There is approximately 17,000 volunteers provincially, and these individuals serve as the eyes and ears of the community. There's monthly provincial board meetings. There's annual general meetings that the chapters all participate in. And we usually will have guest speakers that come to speak, including RCMP members. You get informed about all the crime prevention initiatives the RCMP is pushing forward, as well as any other policing agencies. And then you also get incorporated into the RAVE email fan out, which is also part of the RCMP information portal, which I'll explain a little bit further down. The reason why Alberta has kind of moved to Rural Crime Watch as opposed to Block Watch is because obviously we have a lot of rural properties. And in the past, as was mentioned earlier, rural communities didn't have to worry about crime necessarily in their communities. They were kind of out in the recesses of the community, and they could leave their doors unlocked and their cars unlocked and the keys still in the vehicle. But criminal elements realized that those were vulnerable locations, and the access to get into those communities is easy. There's a lot of roads and joining rural routes that they can get to. So they started to come into the rural communities. And so that's why this became more of an important element that needed to be adopted and then partnered with, so that the community members are the ones that know what's going on in their communities, and they're the ones that can report directly to the police. So this is a map currently of the Rural Crime Watch locations in SAD. Right now we have them in Fort Macleod, we've got Pincher Creek. Obviously there isn't one in Raymond or Coaldale, but these are all the chapters that are currently existing. To start a chapter is a good thing. It's a representation of your community. It doesn't require a huge time commitment. Those chapters can consist of 10 members, 100 members, however many people want to be a part of the organization. And it's just having resources that you can then give out to your community members to let them know about, how to properly lock up their homes, their vehicles, even fraud with relation to seniors. All that information from these chapters is really important from the community level. So to start a chapter, it's pretty straightforward. Again, their website is really a wealth of information, and the link is at the bottom here. You would go online and you have to apply. Well, first you need to start a meeting to see who's interested. And once you have that, you usually designate someone to be the executive. That person then is responsible for the application of the nonprofit status. And that application form can be downloaded actually off of their website. It has to be nonprofit because if you do any fundraising for the chapter, it has to just go back into the chapter itself. You have to select a name. Most of the rural crime watches around the district just choose their community name and then Rural Crime Watch after it. And then once that's all taken care of, you then apply for the association membership. And the fee for that is $250 per year. And that's where your fundraising fees would go. Again, a really great resource and something that's really valuable to the community. So once you become a part of that chapter, these are sort of the benefits of being associated with Rural Crime Watch. So you get crime prevention initiatives in the rural areas. So you'll have information again about how to properly seal up and secure your property, equipment, and vehicles. They do have trained facilitators for senior fraud, so they can come out to the community and give lectures on that. Rural Crime Watch signs can be available to those that are members of the association. So I think probably in some of the surrounding communities, I know I've seen them, you can post signs that say it's a Rural Crime Watch zone. There's group liability insurance for member associations, promotional materials, and then also the association itself will give out monthly newsletters. You have access to their website, interaction and communication with other associations. So if you want to speak with another chapter in and around the area to kind of find out what their issues have been and kind of have that conversation, that is available to you as well. And then again, attending their general meeting and their crime symposiums. Now, I'm sure a lot of people are aware of Alberta Citizens on Patrol. Again, this is another partnership with the RCMP. There are very successful citizens on patrols in the community, and there are others that have not had great success. There is no rhyme or reason to it. It really is about just buy-in from the community and the want to be involved. There is a community in southern Alberta, Diamond Valley, and they actually have had a very successful citizens on patrol. And oftentimes what we find is it's retirees who they want something extra to do with their time. They've got the time to dedicate to the role. They're usually long members of the community. They're charismatic and they can really rally people to come and be a part of it. But you do have to have that buy-in from your community to be involved in this. So currently there's about 2,000 volunteers with the COP program. And these individuals are the ones that patrol. So they'll go out into the community, to observe and report anything that they see that's unusual or an illegal activity, and they'll report that directly to the members. They also attend their monthly provincial meetings, they have their AGM meetings, they have access to crime prevention initiatives as well. My unit often invites COP members to join us when we go out and do crime prevention assessments, just to have them kind of understand what we're doing so they can bring that into their community. And they also get those rave emails. And again, their information is here at the bottom of the page. This one requires a little bit more time commitment. So I think that's sometimes why this one's just a little bit harder to gather people together. But it is a really valuable organization, and one that, when it is successful, does great things for their community. As I mentioned before, we went to Diamond Valley for a fundraiser there, and the community just loved them. They knew all the members of Citizens on Patrol and were so thankful. They see them out and around the community, and they are making a difference, and it is a good thing. Now, this association isn't necessarily one that is for reporting crime, but the reason why I wanted to include it is because it is a crime prevention association that anybody can join. So you don't have to be a part of an organization, you don't have to be a part of a chapter, but you can join as an individual, and the resources here are invaluable, especially from a rural perspective. They do focus on urban and rural crime, but a large majority of their focus right now is rural issues. Um, the RCMP just formed partnership with them in the last year, and they have resources of which, I mean, we don't even have in our unit. You know, we go on there and we sort of sneak through their website to see what they have, because they have amazing stuff, and they've collected it from across the province, the country, and around the world. If you do join, you can join at a discounted rate if you're a student. You can join as an individual. You can join as a group as well. So if you did develop a Rural Crime Watch chapter here in the community, you as a chapter could apply as a group to get membership into the association. The members have access to everything to do with this association, so guest speakers, lecture series, they have education sessions, you get to have voting rights when they're making decisions in terms of the association. And they have an amazing yearly conference that they hold. They hold it 1 year in Sherwood Park, and then they hold it again in Canmore. And in this March, it's going to be in Canmore. It's 3 days. And they bring in guest speakers from around the world to talk about everything from global warming and how that's affecting crime rates in communities, to just having, again, local RCMP people come and talk about the crime stats in their community. So it's really a great association. And even if you're not interested in joining it, I really highly recommend just going on to their page, because I guarantee you'll find something that's of interest and will be informative to you as a community member, maybe from a community perspective in the whole, but also just as a homeowner or business owner in your community. So the other thing, so those were the community things that you can kind of develop and organize. And again, as I mentioned, please feel free to delve deeper into it by visiting their websites. I know a lot of the members of both Rural Crime Watch as well as COP, and they would be more than happy to talk to anybody if you're interested in looking at developing something like that in the community. There's some really great people who would be more than able to give you the tips and suggestions on how they've been successful in their communities. But now I kind of want to just touch on a couple other resources that are available to you as community members. So the first is the Capture program. This is a relatively new partnership with the RCMP. This is not an RCMP run website. This is run by Rural Alberta Capture. And basically what it is it's a place where you can register that you have cameras. Now, often what I find when I go into the communities and I tell people this, they think what it means is that the police have some means of going in and looking at your security cameras and watching your security cameras, and that's not what this is. This is you as a homeowner or business owner registering the fact that you have security cameras at your property. It keeps track of those addresses and the communities you're located in. So if, for example, there's a kidnapping or another serious crime, rather than police having to go and canvass an area to find out who has security cameras, they can access this capture database and see who does in the community and reach out to them directly. So it saves time and it helps in the speed of an investigation. It's entirely voluntary, it is 100% secure, and it is free. We've had a lot of people, it's just really started to gain some ground in the last month or so, and we're seeing more and more people registering, which is fantastic. But again, nobody's accessing your cameras or watching your personal security cameras at home, so it's just a database. So RAVE, I mentioned that earlier, that our volunteers in these organizations have access to our RAVE platform. And I know we mentioned earlier that there is a mobile app that we have, which again, I really strongly recommend everyone putting it on their phone. You can find Crime Stoppers data on it, as well as register to get notifications via RAVE. And RAVE is basically a web-based communication platform that the RCMP uses to get information out quickly to their community members. You can sign up via the app and just follow all the prompts, and you can select which communities you want to get information from. So if you are interested in getting information from Picture Butte, Drumheller, Coaldale, you can select how many detachments you want to get that information from, and you also get to select how you want that information delivered to you. So it can be either through email, it can be a text, or it can be through a phone automated message. And those can be things like BOLOs, which is be on the lookout, crime prevention tips, victim services news, or even district reports. When the wildfires were happening, we were using RAVE quite a bit to disseminate information to people who had to evacuate about how to secure their property. So it can be used in emergency situations as well. And it's just a really great resource. Granted, we're still in the beginning stages of really utilizing the system. So even if you do register right away, you might not see notifications for a bit, as we're just starting to get kind of the ball rolling with this and ironing out some of the kinks. But it is a really good thing to get online with. So this is just an example of what they would look like if you did get those notifications. So the first is your text, and there would be the link. You'd click on that and the information would be in there. There's the email, so the full report, and then the voicemail is an automated message that you would get regarding it. I was just talking to a colleague because none of us signed up for the phone one. None of us would like to get a phone call. But I said, are they actually going to do an automated message where they read an entire story like the one in the email? And I don't think so. We're not entirely sure. So if anyone does do that, it'll be interesting to kind of see what that sounds like. But yeah, I do really encourage everybody to sign up for it because it is really great. And those messages that come out aren't just from the detachments themselves, they can be provincial as well. So something that's coming out of headquarters that everybody needs to know about. And initiatives like the Cold Start program, as we're heading into winter, about people locking up their vehicles. Those are the things that you'd see coming across your text or email. And then the last thing that I kind of wanted to talk about is kind of what my role is and how that can kind of help in the community as well. So my role as a crime prevention liaison is really to focus on property-based crimes in communities. And the way that we do that is through something called Project Lockup, which is a provincial initiative that really addresses individuals who've had repeat break-ins. And that can be a residential property or a business property. And what that means is if we get a list from twice per year, we get lists from our data analysts that list all the communities and the businesses and homes that have had multiple break-ins. And we reach out to those individuals and we offer resource packages. And then we also offer to do a CPTED assessment, which stands for Crime Prevention Through Environmental Design. Basically, what that means is it's a safety inspection of either your home or your business. And it comes with a detailed report with the suggestions of any areas where we see that there may be some deficiencies in security and that they could be enhanced. It's a free assessment, and you're under no obligation to implement any of it. It's more just an information thing that you can certainly have and see where, there's maybe some improvements that can be made. These assessments are based on this principle of CPTED, which is a really popular idea that's actually been around for quite some time. It's picking up steam more and more, especially with policing agencies. And basically what it is it's looking at your existing environment, both the mechanical, so like CCTV cameras, the lights around your home, as well as natural. So things like the vegetation you have in front of your house, and it's offering suggestions on improving security. So that's what we do when we go out to a home or a business. These assessments can be requested by anybody in the community. You don't have to have had a break-in to want an assessment done. If you're concerned about the security of your home, you can reach either out to me directly or you can reach out to the detachment and they can get in touch with me and you can have an assessment done. The details in the assessment is usually about a 20 to 30 page report. And again, they're free. In addition to that, there are grants currently that the government is issuing that I also kind of want to just touch on briefly. One is the ASIP grant, which is the Alberta Securities Infrastructure Program, and then the SIP grant, which is the Security Infrastructure Program. ASIP is a grant where the government, the Solicitor General, gives out money to nonprofit organizations and businesses to enhance their security. In order to apply for it, you have to have a CPTED assessment done. So what we're finding across the province is we're actually having a lot of churches reaching out to us. Those are the ones that tend to be requesting this to enhance the security around their churches. So you get the assessment done, you submit it, and if you qualify, then you can get grant money to increase the lighting or put in CCTV cameras. And then there is the SIP grant, which is a relatively new one, and that's for communities in community dwelling locations. So parks, skate parks, places in a community where there needs to be enhanced security or security measures. And same thing, you would have a CPTED assessment done, and then you would submit that CPTED assessment along with your application, and you could get funding to increase security in the community. So these are all things that are still available. And again, if you need more information, you can certainly reach out to me directly. I'm happy to provide that info, or again, through the detachment, and they can let me know and I can reach out. And then lastly is Crime Stoppers. We always try to end everything by letting people know that this is another means of reporting. This is more for if you have information about a crime that has occurred and you want to remain anonymous. It's a really important way of getting information out. There's cash rewards for anything that's led to a conviction, and the information is there as well too. So you can either do it online or you can call, and again, you can remain anonymous when you make your phone call. And that's everything from me.